Over to you, Evelina.
Thank you, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited that you guys get to join us today. Just maybe to go through.
Hi, Evelina. We can't hear you at all.
Okay.
Sorry, it was my sound was off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. We are very excited here at BDO to spend this little but necessary time with you guys. So just to go through the house rules, let's just keep our mics muted and our cameras off. Okay, so we can ask as many questions as we want. Let us contribute, let us participate. I want the session to be very interactive, okay? Yeah, unless you have something to say, you can unmute yourselves. But for now, let's just keep our mics muted. I'm also going to put my camera off for now, but I'm glad that you guys are here with me today. Okay, so I'll start sharing my slides in a few minutes. Just to introduce myself, I'm Evelina Erasmus, and I'll be the presenter for today. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, maybe just give me a thumbs up or something so I'm aware that you can all hear me. Awesome, great stuff. Okay, so I will be the presenter for today, but today I'm also joined by our BDO professional skills training team, which is Nicole Dreyer. She is our marketing manager. Luzanne is also going to join us in a few minutes. Luzanne Pretoria, she's our HR and training manager here at BDO. Okay, so I'm the industrial psychologist here at BDO, and I'm currently also busy with my master's degree in industrial psychology at the University of Namibia. Okay, before we start, let me just quickly share my slides with you guys. Nicole, can you see my slides?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Just give me a minute.
They are up.
Okay, can we all see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so right before we start off, I just want to start off with why we are doing this. Why are we providing this training today, or why are we presenting on this particular topic today? Okay, so here at BDO, we are people helping people achieve their dreams. Okay, not only are we focused on our employees and our consumers, but we also strive to contribute to the well-being of our community. So with today's topic, you'll realize and you'll see a lot that it has to do with mental health. And here at BDO, we promote mental health and we support our people. And the reason why we are here today is because we would love to support our community as well when it comes to mental health. We've been providing training throughout the year for our leadership series. So if If you have been with us before, if you have joined our previous trainings before, welcome back. We are excited to have you here again today. If it's your first time joining us today, welcome. And yeah, let's get right into it. So before I start off with anything, I just want to first define what depersonalization is. But before I start off with that, let's see what exactly we are going to do today. So we are going to learn about what depersonalization and depersonalization disorder. We are going to recognize the symptoms of depersonalization in ourselves and in others. And we are going to see at what causes depersonalizations. We are going to identify depersonalization in the workplace, and we are going to learn about how depersonalization is diagnosed and managed. And lastly, we will reflect on the ways we can relieve depersonalization. Okay? Okay. So, so there are two kinds of depersonalization in the workplace. Okay? And I will touch on depersonalization in terms of emotional intelligence, but the focus of this session will be more about understanding and being able to recognize the personalization disorder and how it affect us personally and how it's affecting our workplaces as well. Okay, so depersonalization in terms of emotional intelligence is being able to manage your emotions irregardless of your cultural background. So just to speak on a little bit about this, sometimes at work you're going to get a warning, for instance, or you are going to do you are going to go through a disciplinary hearing, for instance, or your boss or your colleagues are going to be rude with you. And with a little healthy bit of depersonalization, you can actually manage how you react to all of this in your workplace. But throughout our session, we'll actually be able to see how you can actually do this and how depersonalization, a little bit of depersonalization can be good for you, and too much depersonalization can actually be bad for you. Okay, so my first question to you guys is, do you frequently feel detached from reality? Like you're watching yourself in a movie, for instance? So if your answer is yes to this question, you might just be suffering from depersonalization. So let's look at what depersonalization is all about. So depersonalization refers to the feeling of you're feeling detached from yourself, as if you are watching your life take place from the sidelines and you're viewing yourself in a movie screen of some sort, okay? And in psychology, depersonalization is a state in which an individual feels that either he himself or herself is out or the outside world is unreal. Okay, so in addition to their sense of unreality, depersonalization may involve the feeling that your mind is actually deassociated from your body, or you somehow see yourself from a distance, or you somehow just feel like a machine, right? You're just going through life, or throughout your work day, or throughout when you're home with your family, you just feel like a robot. You just don't show emotions at all. Okay, you're no longer feeling anything basically. Okay, so if you suffer from feelings of unreality, you feel disconnected from yourself, or you deal with intrusive thoughts, you might just be suffering from depersonalization. Okay, so depersonalization disorder, if we have to look at depersonalization disorder, this is one of the most under-recognized condition that affects a significant number of people worldwide. And this is the reason why we are talking about it today, because we want to create awareness. Okay, the depersonalization can affect you as an individual, and it can be a problem at work as well. Okay, so and at the end, it will impact your productivity at work, and we do not want that. Okay, so when your stress levels gets too high and your emotions are too overwhelming, and you somehow don't have anything to cope with, or you don't know what to do, or you don't have any strategies or tools to work with, you feel like you're spiraling down. So what happens here is that your brain then tries to protect you from this overwhelming feeling. Okay, so it creates like a defense mechanism. Okay, it creates a defense mechanism, which then is what we call today depersonalization. So depersonalization is a coping strategy that your brain somehow creates for you to be able to manage your anxiety or your stress levels. Okay, so what happens is, in the process, you detach yourself from your mind and body. You start feeling like you have changed. You're being outside of reality. The world has become vague or dreamlike. You lack significance in whatever you're doing. You don't see any significance in your work. You basically feel like you're on autopilot. Okay, and that your sense of individuality is somehow also suppressed when you're going through depersonalization. That is now high level of depersonalizations. Okay, so it is not a problem when it's just for a short period of time, when you're using it as a coping strategy, but it becomes a problem when it goes on for a longer period of time, when you turn it into a habit. Okay, so it then turns into something that we call chronic depersonalization, which refers now to the depersonalization disorder that I'm talking about. But let's look more into that. So depersonalization disorder is one of a group of conditions called dissociative disorder. So depersonalization disorder is under dissociative disorders. Here we also find post-traumatic stress disorder. Here we find schizophrenia and all sorts of things, right? And dissociative disorders are mental illnesses that involve disruptions or breakdowns of perception. So this interferes with your general functioning, not only at work, it can be in your social life, it can be in your relationships, and so on. But today we are more focused on depersonalization disorder. So depersonalization disorder is a mental health condition that is now formally known as depersonalization derealization disorder. Okay, so depersonalization affects how you relate to yourself. It can make you feel as if you are not real. On the other hand, derealization affects how you relate to other people and things, and it can make you feel like your surrounding or other people are not real. Okay? So depersonalization and derealizations are dissociative disorder, and they almost always occur together, but they can also differ in experiences. Okay, so depersonalization makes you feel as if you are a stranger to yourself. People often report that they feel like they are watching a movie about themselves, for instance, and they may have trouble recognizing themselves in a mirror, for example.
Beide. Dis 'n vrou. Ek kan multitask. Ja. Oh ja.
Okay, I'm just trying to see whose mic is on.
Dit is baie trots.
To them.
Okay. So I was talking about depersonalization and derealization. Okay, so together, these issues can leave you feeling distanced or disconnected from yourself. Okay, and not only that, also the world around you. So it is not I, I don't want to say it's not unusual to feel this way from time to time, but if you are going through depersonalization, derealization, these feelings can linger for a very long periods of time, and then it can also get in your way of your day-to-day activities. Okay. So let us look at the symptoms of depersonalization and derealization disorder. So as we go through our presentations, I'm also going to talk about depersonalization in the workplace at a later stage, but I just want to bring this beforehand. So we just try and figure out or try to see what depersonalization and derealization is actually is. Okay. So this part, I want us to pay attention because I want us to try and recognize some of the symptoms within ourselves or people around us or our colleagues or our family members, okay? So I'm going to start off with depersonalization symptoms, which then include you feeling like you are outside your body. Sometimes it's as if you are looking down on yourself from above. You're feeling detached from yourself, as if you have no actual self feeling, as though you are watching a movie about yourself. Okay, this is a sense you feel like you're no longer in control of your thoughts and actions. Okay, and your reality may seem like it's dreamlike or it's unreal. Depersonalization causes numbness in your mind, your body. It's as if your senses are turned off. You are unable to feel joy or love. Okay, you're feeling as if you can't control what you do or say, and you're feeling as if your body parts are the wrong size, if I could say that, and you have difficulty attaching your emotions to memories. You disconnect your memories and the past, and and you don't know how. You know that you have this memory of yourself, but you don't know how this type of memory is making you feel. You somehow deassociate your memories from your emotions. You are also excessively concerned with existential questions like, why am I here? Why do I exist? Is existence real or is it just a dream? Okay. And then we have derealization symptoms. This can include having trouble recognizing your surroundings or finding your surrounding as hazy or almost dreamlike, if I can say. You're feeling like a glass wall separates you from the world and you can see what's beyond. You're feeling like your surrounding is not real. It seems flat, blurry, or too far away, or too close, or too big, or too small. Okay? And you're experiencing a distorted sense of time. The past may feel very recent, while your recent events feel as if they have happened long time ago. Okay, so now that we have gone through the symptoms, I just want us to participate. So in the comment section, can we perhaps, has anyone or does anyone know of someone who is actually experiencing such symptoms, or does anyone actually, or is anyone going through this particular symptoms? Just in the comment section, just say yes, or you can type in what you're experiencing or things like that. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Anyone would love to share with us those types of feelings? Okay, so Okay, so I see nobody's actually experiencing such symptoms, but I'm going to talk a little bit about myself at a later stage, and you guys will actually be able to relate to that. Okay, so disassociation and depersonalization, like I said before, depersonalization is under a group of disorders called disassociation. So you feel that the world around you is unreal. You see the world as foggy or lifeless. You feel that you are watching yourself from the outside. You feel disconnected from your body or your emotions, and you feel that you're carrying out actions, but you're actually not in control. Okay, so you struggle to feel present, and you often become detached. Okay, so I would love us to look now at what causes depersonalization in general. So So no one is 100% sure about the exact cause of depersonalization. But for some people, it seems to be linked with experiencing stress and trauma, especially at a very young age. For example, if you grew up around a lot of violence or yelling, you may have mentally removed yourself from their situations as a coping mechanism. Now, as an adult, you might fall back to this disassociating tendencies in stressful situations, for instance. Okay, it's also said some types of using certain drugs can also cause symptoms of depersonalization. Example, hallucinogens, MDMA, ketamine, salvia, marijuana. And the most common one is severe stress and anxiety and depression. These are the most common triggers of depersonalization. And also a lack of sleep or overstimulating environment can also make the symptoms worse. Okay. Some people are just more vulnerable to psychiatric disorders than others. For instance, women are more likely than men to experience depersonalization. Um, or some other types of dissociative occurrences. And people often experience past trauma in their lives, including, this can include now emotional or physical abuse or neglect in childhood, having a loved one die unexpectedly, or witnessing a domestic violence. That these are just basically psychologists or theorists trying to find the root cause of depersonalization disorder, but most of the times depersonalization is mostly just because of your anxiety, of too much stress, a lot of things happening in your life, or a lot of things happening at your workplace, but we'll still get into that. Okay, so other risk factors that can also cause depersonalization can be a history of recreational drugs, for instance, which can trigger episode of depersonalization or derealization, an innate tendency to avoid or deny difficult situations, trouble adapting to difficult situations, depression, like I said, depression or anxiety, which is especially if you have severe or prolonged depression or anxiety, um, experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event or abuse as a child or adult, or severe stress in your area of life. Like I said, this can be in your relationships, this can be because of your finances, and this can be because of work. I quickly just want us to watch a quick video, which a particular someone is kind of going through the whole depersonalization stage right now.
I'm crying a lot. Wait, now I'm self-aware that I'm crying, which makes me stop crying. Crap, I feel like I wasn't done crying. What was I crying about? Oh, right, yeah. Okay, it's just not hitting the same anymore. Oh, I depersonalized from the thing I was crying about. Okay, I'm kinda chilling in this mental state, seeing myself from an outside perspective. Seriously, what was I crying about? Right, oh yeah, that whole thing. Okay, Brain, you can go back to the body now. I'm ready to cry more about this. Brain? Nope. Okay, cool. I'm just completely numb.
Okay, so in this video, we can see that this particular person is going through the whole depersonalization stage. So what happens is they might have gone through a stressful event or got some negative comments or whatever they've gone through, and they were crying about it. So as a defense mechanism, their brain somehow put them into a stage of depersonalization whereby their emotions were numbed, or their emotions are, 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 are no longer reactive, right? So he somehow knows that he's supposed to feel a certain way, but then he's no longer feeling that because of depersonalization. Okay. Um,
I'm crying a lot.
Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about myself. So personally, I also go a lot through depersonalization, and I sometimes mistaken it for having a high emotional intelligence, right? Because sometimes you get people throwing a lot of negative words at you. You got your colleagues saying bad things to you, or your people around you are stressing you out and things like that. And there are times whereby I don't really react to that situation, or I don't really show any emotion, and then I sometimes mistaken it for having high emotional intelligence, which is not the case. And I don't want to lie, I'm very good at handling stress. Okay, and I do that by temporarily putting away feelings that I deem unhelpful. Okay, I suppress those feelings. So it's easy for me to leave things at my home door. So whatever happens to me at home, I don't necessarily bring it to work. Okay, because Hi guys, sorry, our internet just went off. The entire building's Wi-Fi just went down. Can everyone hear me now? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, awesome. I just have to start all over again and start sharing my slides again. Okay, so can you guys all see my slides? Okay, awesome. So I was talking about myself, right? So what I was saying is I somehow also depersonalize a lot and I do it a lot, okay? So whatever happens to me at home, I don't basically bring it to work. I suppress all of those feelings, okay? And this is how I learned to function in high school. This is how I juggled so much in varsity, and it's also somehow still how I function now. But I want to say this, it's actually not a good thing because all I'm doing is avoiding my bad feelings. I live by suppress and move on, okay? My emotions can't hurt you when you don't feel it. That's how I live by, but which is actually not a good thing. So it doesn't take a psychologist to see where this is going, because if your feelings, because if your feelings don't, if you don't feel, okay, your feelings don't just go away, they still stay with you, okay? They don't sweep into the ground and never return again. In fact, it's more like the water cycle. So whatever the earth absorbed, eventually it comes back as rain, okay? Except in this version of the water cycle, the more water that goes unused and unprocessed, the bigger the storm. So whatever you ignore, it might just come back in a much bigger stage, and it's going to hurt you not only emotionally, mentally, but also physically. But you know, but yet as things are actually happening, it's still hard for me to feel, okay? So it's as if my brain is trying to protect itself, working in overdrive so I can still function it, and it makes it hard for me to identify how I really feel about certain things, okay? It makes it hard for me to be able to process emotions in real time, okay? And there's this one thing about numbing emotion is that we cannot selectively numb emotions. So when we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions, okay? So as time went, I learned how to actually manage my my feelings or emotions effectively. It also has a lot to do with where I'm working now. So I'm in a working environment which is very stimulating. I work with emotionally intelligent people. I work with empathetic people. I work with people who actually do care about me and care about others. And with time, I'm actually somehow feeling what I'm supposed to feel, but also not taking anything personally said to me. Okay. Now I want us to talk about we're going right into depersonalization in the workplace. So depersonalization has also been used or has also been referred to as alienation, okay? Now, this is when you lose your connection with your work. You feel like what you do is not significant. You don't have an emotional attachment to your work anymore, or you don't reflect or connect with your colleagues anymore. You're basically just going to work to pay your bills, and that's it. Okay. So it can become increasingly difficult to go to work or attend school when you are going through depersonalization and derealization. And one of the biggest problems faced by people who experience depersonalization is managing their jobs. Like I said before, a little bit of depersonalization, a healthy amount of depersonalization as a coping mechanism is quite fine, but when it gets too extreme or when it gets into a chronic state, that's when you turn into a robot at work. Okay, committing to doing your work while being depersonalized quickly becomes a major source of pain. Okay, and it has a lot to do with workplace stress. In my previous presentation a while ago, we spoke a lot about workplace stress and managing workplace stress. So the major source of depersonalization comes from stress. Okay, workplace stress then is the harmful physical and emotional responses that can happen when there is conflict between job demands and the employee and an employee's amount to control or meeting those demands. So your job can get very stressful. Your supervisor or your manager expects you to do a lot of things in a very short period of time. So you have a lot of deadlines. You have a lot of deadlines, you have a lot happening. So what happens is you get into a stage whereby you're no longer able to focus. You lose your lack of concentration. You feel like it's just a lot happening, right? And then your body then gets you into a stage of depersonalization, right? So it's in a way your brain is trying to cope with what you are going through. And when you get into a stage of depersonalization, this is when we now speak about, on my next slide, this is where we speak about like depersonalization interfere with your general functioning, your social functioning, your work activities, and your relationship. Okay, you get to be very distant or show a very different attitude towards your work. You're no longer the same person that you used to be. Okay, you manifest depersonalization as very negative. Okay, you show cynical behavior, or you interact with your colleagues or your customers in a very impersonal manner. You're very you get to be very unprofessional, or you blame everything on everyone else instead of taking responsibility, and you don't have empathy at all. So in our workplaces we get people who are somehow like that, right? People who do not show empathy to others at all, people who blame everything on other people. And so I'm coming back to you guys. I want us to speak about, are you guys experiencing this, or are you seeing some of your colleagues being this way in your workplaces? So can you just maybe in the comment section, or you can just unmute yourself and share with us, or you can just say yes, something like this is happening. I just want to know if you guys are actually with me right now. Okay, I see some of you, Depersonalization Shelley said yes, she's okay, something like this is happening. Geraldine is saying something like this is happening. So, guys, this is a safe place for all of us. This is a session that we can just share and contribute and just really feel what we have to feel. So Anna says, yes, depersonalization is real. Some of them show it by blaming others. Yes, it's true. That basically happens a lot in our workplaces. Someone else, Bongila says, yes, this is what is happening at my workplace now. Okay, so this is really happening, and I'm sure we are actually not sure what other people are going through. Actually, not sure why our colleagues or a particular someone is reacting the way they are reacting, but we do get to learn those things, and now we know this person might just be going through depersonalization. It might be due to a lot of other things. It might be due to stress, or they are also just putting us into depersonalization stages. Okay, right. I'm not sure whose mic is unmuted. I don't really have access to that right now, but let us continue. Can everyone just put their mics, mute their mics, please? Okay, so people with depersonalization may experience the following at work, right? So you lose your ability to focus or concentrate. You feel scared and anxious at work. You're feeling disconnected from your coworkers, and you are unable to interact with your coworkers or your peers. Your work environment and your colleagues feel very weird to you. You have the fear of embarrassing yourself and losing control over the situation. Okay, you are unable to think straight, and you are always caught up in intrusive thoughts. You lack the emotional support, and you are always being forced to put on a professional demeanor, even when you're feeling panicky and scared inside. Okay, so these are just some of the things that you may be experiencing at work if you are going through depersonalization. Okay, so most of us depend on our work to pay our bills and provide our living for our living. And under these conditions and the above symptoms, this may interfere with our ability to perform our jobs and duties to our best of our abilities, and in turns, it also reduces our productivity. Okay. So we've spoken a lot about depersonalization. What is depersonalization? What causes depersonalization? Depersonalization disorder. We then will look now at how is depersonalization diagnosed. Okay, so if you feel like you are actually going through a certain stage in your life where you are depersonalized, how do you then go about it? Okay, so remember, it is normal to feel a little off or removed from the world sometimes, but at what point do these feelings start to signal a mental health condition? So generally, your symptoms may be a sign of depersonalization disorder if they start to interfere with your daily life. So if you're going through depersonalization, just a healthy amount of depersonalization, you can still go through your daily routines. You can wake up, go to work, pick up take your kids to school, pick them up, do what you have to do, and just in a way be coping with your environment around you. But then if it starts to interfere with your daily life or with your daily routines, that's when it starts becoming a problem. Okay, so before making a diagnosis, your primary healthcare provider will first ask you, do you have regular episodes of depersonalization, derealization, or both? Are the symptoms that you are currently experiencing, are they distressing you? Okay, so they're also likely to ask you whether you are aware of your reality, okay, when you experience the symptoms. And I want us to know that if you are going through depersonalization, you actually do know that you're going through depersonalization, right? And it's not like schizophrenia where you don't know what's happening and where you're hallucinating or see things you're not supposed to be seeing. You're actually aware of all of these things, and you're aware that somehow your reality might have changed. Okay, so people with depersonalization generally are aware that what they are feeling isn't quite real. Okay, if you are not aware of your reality, you may just have another condition which is not depersonalization. Okay, so your private your doctor or your therapist or anyone that you go see, they'll also want to confirm that what the symptoms that you are going through, it's not because by some recreational drugs that you are prescribed on, or it's also not because of a different mental health condition such as panic attack, post-traumatic stress disorder, or any other dissociative disorder. So just keep in mind that mental health condition can take some time to properly diagnose. Okay, so to help the process along, just make sure you tell your therapist, your psychologist, your healthcare profession about any other mental health condition that you also have or that you are going through, especially depression and anxiety, which is now the number one source of depersonalization. Okay, so we have spoken a lot about depersonalization. So how then do we manage depersonalization, especially in our workplaces, or especially managing our jobs and depersonalization at the same time? So option one, sometimes all you need is a little break. Okay, so when we are caught in a cycle of work and depersonalization, a vacation may be exactly the cure that could help break the cycle. Okay, so if you're experiencing depersonalization and have difficulty going to work, take a vacation, 2 weeks. Okay, head to a relaxing place like a beach. I don't advise against going to like a big city because it will be full of stimulation. So just make sure you go to a smaller town, a peaceful place where you can just calm your nerves and reduce the levels of stress in your body. Okay, pamper yourself, get a massage, stay in a hotel, swimming pool, all you want. Take it easy, make time for rest and rejuvenation. Okay, if you don't feel like traveling, make it a staycation. So this is where you take some time off work and just stay in the comfort of your home. Okay, maybe you could work on some low effort side projects. Maybe you could just cook good food every day if you want to, or maybe you don't have to do anything at all other than just resting up in your bed and use this time to just in a way that suits you and in a way that just clears your mind of all the anxiety and stress in your life. Okay, option two, work from home. Okay, so today many offices allow employees to work from home, and most of the work these days is done on computers over the internet. Hence, there's not much needed to commute to work every single day. So check with your employer to see if you can take advantage of such an option. Even if you get approved for working from home for just 1 or 2 days a week, it's still a big win. Okay. Option three, take sabbatical. I know some, not all organizations, but some companies actually do offer sabbatical leave. So sabbatical is a long break from work. Typically, sabbaticals can be anywhere between 6 months to a year or two. So during sabbatical, one usually does not get paid, but they are able to rejoin the workforce anytime they want to. So, but in some situation, if you have been with a company for several years, I know some organization, a paid sabbatical may be part of your package. Okay, so always choose a great organization for yourself. Okay, use this opportunity to spend time with your family or people that brings you happiness and inner peace. Okay. uh, I'm getting a comment that I'm still a trainee accountant and I cannot just take leave. Yes, I know, and I'm getting to that. Not everyone has that privilege of getting leave, taking leave, but I'm getting to that. So if you are like Pongila boys and you are a trainee accountant and you cannot just take leave, okay? So embrace it and show up for work, okay? I kept this as the last option since it's probably the last resort for many. So when none of the above options work for you, you need to pay for you need the pay from your job and for your livelihood. There's not much you can do except embrace the pain and show up for work, okay? So it might be frustrating and you may feel helpless and scared for the first few times, but repeatedly going to work and trying to do the work to the best of your ability, you might eventually decrease the fear and dread you experience while you are there. Okay, so if you have a supporting friend or a colleague at work, open up to them and seek their help when you can't perform at your best. Okay, it's not it's only gonna be hard in the beginning, but if you keep showing up as time goes, your depersonalization will also decrease. Okay, so unless sometimes your depersonalization might just be caused by, let's say, when it comes to our supervisors or our managers or the people that we work with, and sometimes I feel like just speak to those people, speak to your HR practitioner, speak to someone. It's better than just crumbling up all of your emotions inside and just being a robot at work. Okay, so and that's why it's very important as if we are in management positions that we treat people as how we want them to how we want to be treated. Okay, so we should be empathetic to people and our emotional intelligence should actually be very high so we are able to identify how other people feel and also kind of identify our own feelings. Okay, so at the same time, don't be someone that just takes everything personally, everything that's said by someone, you take it personally. Also try to find the balance, try to find the healthy depersonalization whereby you went to do your work, you went to work to just do your work and get paid. Okay, let's see some of the ways to relieve depersonalization in case we cannot take those sabbatical leaves and 2 to 3 weeks of leave. So acknowledge your feelings. Okay, depersonalization is an adaptive way to cope with stress, like I've said. So some believe that it's your brain's way to protecting you from danger. So when your body and mind distance you from intense emotional pain, overwhelming feelings may decrease, which may help you feel safe at that moment. So if your body and mind ignore your feelings for too long, symptoms of depersonalization may drag on. So in this in this stage, what will happen, you then get chronic depersonalization, which is a depersonalization disorder. So some research suggests that by acknowledging certain emotion, in this case, let's say, for instance, fatigue, for example, you can lessen your stress levels. Okay, this concept may work for you, it may not work for you, but it won't hurt to try. Okay, so take deep breaths. When stress arises, your body's nervous system fires up. Okay, for people living with depersonalization disorder, this can disrupt brain functioning and lead to feelings of depersonalization. Breathing exercises are good ways to lessen your depersonalization. Okay, listen to music. Feelings of derealizations or depersonalization can be more intense when your brain focuses on them. So you are constantly focusing that, oh, I'm going through depersonalization, I'm not feeling what I'm supposed to be feeling. So a grounding technique can be like listen to music. This can help you feel less anxious about your experience. Okay, read a book if you enjoy reading. It may help with your depression or your anxiety. Okay, so try picking an old favorite book or a story that brings you comfort. You might find that you are able to concentrate on the words and meanings enough to quiet the intrusive thoughts of depersonalization. Okay, challenge your intrusive thoughts. For some, depersonalization involves a lack of intrusive thoughts, right? For others who live with depersonalization as well as anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder, intrusive thoughts can pose as a real challenge. For some, it's just a coping mechanism, but we are all different. We all react differently to psychiatric disorders, okay? So, psych, cognitive psychologists point out that a tool called psychological distancing can help with intrusive thoughts. Okay, so what is psychological distancing? This means finding some space between the upsetting thoughts and the painful emotions. Okay, taking a few deep breaths can help quiet your intrusive thoughts. And also, try talking to yourself out loud just to get so you get into that point that I'm in. This is me. This is the real me. Okay. You might even ask yourself, what evidence do I have that my worry is real? What if you're just imagining and everything? Okay. So basically, when your mind focuses on something else, intrusive thoughts often go away. Okay. Call a friend. When you are anxious and symptoms of depersonalization arise, you might be tempted to isolate. But at times like this, talking to a trusted friend or a family member can really help. Okay? So now, how can depersonalization be treated? Okay, so for most people with this depersonalization disorder who seek treatment, are not really concerned about depersonalization itself. They are more concerned about the symptoms such as depression or anxiety rather than the disorder itself. So now the goal of treatment when needed is to address all the stresses associated with the onset of the disorder. Where did it start? The root cause of it, okay? And the best treatment approach depends on the individual and the severity of the symptoms. So we have something that we call psychotherapy, right? This is a kind of therapy for mental and emotional disorders, and it uses psychological techniques designed to help a person better recognize and communicate their thoughts and feelings. Then we have something we call medication. So medication are generally not used to treat dissociative disorders such as depersonalization disorders or post-traumatic stress disorders. But however, if a person with a dissociative disorder also suffers from depression or anxiety, they might benefit from antidepressants, for example, okay, or anti-anxiety drugs, okay. Antipsychotic medication are also sometimes used to help with disorders, thinking and perception related to depersonalization. Okay. Then creative therapies. These are therapies that allow people to explore and express their thoughts and feelings in a safe and creative way through music, through art, through painting, and all of those things. Okay, so you get to focus on something that you actually love doing than focusing on the problem itself. Okay, then we have clinical hypnosis. This is a treatment technique that uses intense relaxation, concentration, and focused attention to achieve an altered state consciousness or awareness. Okay, so it allows people to explore their thoughts, their feelings, and memory that they might have hidden from their conscious mind. So something must happen to you in the past, or something happened to you at work, and then automatically you switched it off, right? You remember what happened, but you don't actually remember how you felt about it. So your emotions were switched off. So basically with clinical hypnosis, so we try to bring all of this back. we try to bring the feelings that you're supposed to be feeling, so you can actually be relieved and somehow move on with your life. Okay, so it's actually 12:30 right now. I have homework for you guys. First of all, I just want to ask each and every one of you, how did this presentation make you feel, or how did you know about depersonalization before? Because this is one of the most less researched dissociative disorders we have. And if you go through internet, if you go through YouTube, we have a lot of people speaking about it just now, and a lot of people actually coming out and saying that, yes, I'm actually going through this. I didn't know that I was going through this. And this is something that is very hard to explain. It's something that is very hard to describe to someone. And it's also something that I found hard, like putting everything together and kind of try to make you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying my utmost best. Okay, so we have someone saying it's actually first time hearing about it. Yes. And that's why we are doing all of these presentations, all of these trainings, because there are things that are happening, there are disorders out there, things that are happening in our workplaces that we are actually not aware of. Okay. Yes, and a lot of people do go through it and they do not know what it is, which is true. And you yourself might also not know that you are going through this, right? It's somehow just your mind coping, or somehow just a coping mechanism for you to cope with whatever situation that you are going through. Okay. Okay, Kai says this was totally new for me, but I can recognize some symptoms in some colleagues of mine. Yes, and I'm glad and I love that we actually got to learn something today, and we can actually recognize some of the symptoms in our colleagues. There's a lot happening, right? There's a lot happening in our lives, and sometimes you just wonder, why is the person the way they are? Okay, I have homework for us. Would anyone else like to share with us? You can unmute your mic. You can write in the comment section. It's almost the end of our session. It's basically the end of our session. Okay, so I have homework for us. So describe a situation where you can productively use, sorry, it was supposed to be depersonalization, not the S. Okay, so describe instead of giving you guys this homework, can we just talk about this right now? Can we describe a situation where we can productively use depersonalization? Can anyone say anything about this? How do you productively use depersonalization? Okay, so I see everyone is quiet, so I'm going to make this our homework then. How do you then use productively use depersonalization? Just reflect on yourself, see what you are actually feeling or what you're actually going through, right? And just somehow try to see if you're somehow going through depersonalization, try and see how you can actually use this depersonalization or this coping mechanism in a much productive way. Okay. So guys, this brings me to the end of our session today. My apologies for what took place when our internet just went down and it was quiet for a few minutes. I'm so happy that you guys joined me today. We have a lot more training lined up for you guys. Just guys can just check out our social media pages. Yeah, thank you all, and I hope you guys have a lovely day ahead. And I hope we do recognize the depersonalizations in ourselves and our colleagues. Okay, thank you.